scanner rejected her DNA and flashed the warning, species Deathworlder, Earth. Clara Jensen strode into the registration chamber of Orion-7 University, boots echoing on the polished floor of the sleek dome orbiting a neutron star 12 light-years from Earth. Her plain student jacket hung loosely over her average frame, brown hair tied back, gray eyes sharp as she scanned the humming tech. Literature studies awaited her ticket to the stars. She approached Centra 4, its crystalline interface pulsing softly under the chamber's stark lights. Clara pressed her palm against the scanner, bio-credentials uploading in a flicker of green data streams. A heartbeat later, a shrill alarm tore through the silence. Red lights flashed. "Deathworlder detected!" Centra 4's voice boomed, cold and mechanical. Containment fields snapped into place, blue barriers crackling with 50 megatons of force. They locked Clara in a glowing cage, energy humming in her ears. She froze, poetry book clutched in one hand, her pulse steady despite the chaos. Professor Aldrin burst through the chamber doors, his silver-gray skin gleaming, slender frame hunched in a defensive crouch. He waved frantically, directing security drones that zipped into formation, their stun fields glowing. His assistant, Mira, a trilopian with quivering eye stalks, stumbled in behind him. Her stalks collapsed as she fainted, hitting the floor with a soft thud. Clara shifted her weight, flipping open her poetry book. Her gray eyes darted across the chaos, drones hovering, faculty rushing in, data pads buzzing. She leaned against the containment field, its hum vibrating through her jacket, and turned a page, feigning nonchalance. Faculty from xenobiology, ethics, and military history flooded the chamber, their robes swishing, data pads flashing urgent alerts. Centra 4 projected a hologram of Earth, spinning ominously. Red text labeled it a Class 9 hazardous world. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Human threat, predator species. Clara's lips twitched, catching the fear in their voices. She tilted her head, voice light. "Just here for sonnets, not war." A few aliens paused, startled by her calm. Suspicion lingered, but the tension eased, if only a fraction. Aldrin's eyes narrowed, his posture rigid. He jabbed a finger at the drones, ordering them to tighten the perimeter. "We assess her danger level. Now," he said, voice clipped, citing galactic protocols. The council nodded, faces grim, and scheduled an emergency session. Drones closed in, their 10-terawatt stun fields casting a faint glow. Clara tucked her book under her arm as they guided her out, their hum filling the air. She walked through Orion-7's corridors, gravitic lifts whirring, holographic signs flickering in alien scripts. Faces peered from doorways, eyes wide with curiosity or fear. Aldrin trailed behind, muttering to Mira, who staggered upright, eye stalks wobbling. "Monitor her!" he snapped. Mira nodded, still shaky. Clara's boots clicked on the metal floor. She tossed a glance back. "Coffee helps with nerves, you know." Mira's stalks twitched, confused. The group reached the xenobiology lab, its doors sliding open with a hiss. Sterile white walls greeted them, lined with gravitic sensors that pulsed faintly. Dr. Kale stood inside, his cold eyes locking onto Clara like she was a specimen under glass. Aldrin waved a hand. "Prepare the tests." His voice carried the weight of bureaucracy, unyielding. Clara hopped onto the exam table, legs swinging. She opened her poetry book, skimming a line about starlight and silence. Her mind flickered. Why the alarm? A glitch? Something deeper? She pushed the thought down, focusing on the page. The faculty whispered, their voices sharp. "Her world breeds survivors," one said. "Apex predators." Clara's smirk was subtle, hidden behind her book. Earth had rainy days and traffic, not some monster factory. Aldrin paced, his silver skin catching the light. "No risks, full evaluation." Clara nodded casually. "Let's do this, Prof." Drones repositioned, their stun fields humming louder, vibrating through the floor. Clara felt it in her bones but kept her cool, turning another page. Beyond the dome, the neutron star pulsed, its light casting faint shadows. Orion-7 orbited on, a beacon of knowledge now rattled by one human. The lab lights dimmed, signaling the first test. Endurance. Clara set her book down, ready. The chamber's echo faded, but the tension clung like static. Clara sat on the exam table, the xenobiology lab's sterile walls closing in. Gravitic sensors pulsed along the ceiling, their faint hum mixing with the buzz of security drones. Dr. Kyle, his eyes cold and clinical, adjusted a console, its screens flickering with biometric data. Clara's poetry book rested beside her, a small anchor in the chaos. She stretched her arms, ready for whatever came next. The first test kicked off. A treadmill hummed to life, its settings dialed to simulate 3G gravity. Clara stepped on, her boots gripping the moving surface. She ran, legs pumping, covering 20 kilometers in 45 minutes. Sweat barely beaded on her forehead. Kyle's data pad beeped, logging her vitals, heart rate steady at 75 BPM. He tilted his head, intrigued but silent. Next, an intelligence test. A holographic puzzle materialized, a 12-dimensional maze designed for AI clusters. Clara's gray eyes narrowed, fingers dancing over the interface. She traced pathways, rerouting nodes with quick flicks. In under 10 minutes, the puzzle collapsed into a solved state, glowing green. A technician gasped. Clara shrugged, brushing hair from her face. The environmental chamber came last. Its walls cycled from 50 degrees C to 120 degrees C, air thinning to near vacuum, then thickening with toxic gas traces. Clara stood inside, breathing steady, her jacket barely ruffled. She leaned against the chamber wall, muttering, "Could use some coffee in here." Kyle's sensors recorded her body adapting seamlessly, her cells shrugging off stressors that would have felled most species. Professor Vera stormed in, her robes billowing, voice sharp. "Your kind slaughters vegetation, calls it sustenance." She jabbed a finger at Clara, accusing Earth's agriculture of planetary violence. Clara leaned back, smirking. "We call it farming. You call it ethics. Same difference." Vera's scowl deepened, but Clara's tone stayed light, cutting through the tension. Commander Lyra, her military uniform crisp, observed from a corner. She tapped her data pad, noting Clara's reflexes matched elite galactic shock troops. Her eyes flicked to Kyle, who nodded subtly. Potential, they both thought. But for what? The faculty gathered, debates flaring. Professor Doran, his voice warm, argued for Clara's integration. Human art? Literature? It could enrich our 300-star systems? Professor Fenwick, philosophical and dour, countered, "Her unpredictability threatens our moral order." Their voices clashed, data pads flashing competing charts. Mira recovered, watched from the sidelines, her eye stalk steady. Clara's calm fascinated her. How did a Deathworlder stay so composed? Mira's perspective shifted, torn between fear and a flicker of awe. The tests ended, but Centra 4's alarm wailed on, its crystalline interface pulsing red in the registration chamber. Clara caught the sound from the lab's comms feed. Something wasn't right. Her fingers twitched, itching to dig deeper, but drones hovered close, their stun fields humming. Kyle powered down the test equipment, his movements precise. He uploaded Clara's results, 98th percentile across galactic species. The faculty murmured, some in awe, others in dread. Lyra stepped forward, her boots clicking. "She's no ordinary student." Clara hopped off the table, grabbing her book. "Told you, just here for poetry." And her voice was casual, but her eyes scanned the room, noting every exit, every drone's position. Aldrin entered, his silver skin glinting under the lab's lights. He gestured sharply. "To the council hall. We decide her fate now." Drones nudged Clara forward, their fields crackling. She walked, book tucked under her arm, steps measured. The corridors stretched long, gravitic lifts humming as they passed. Alien faces peered from doorways, whispers trailing her. "Deathworlder," they said. Clara ignored them, focusing on the rhythm of her steps, the weight of her book. Vera's voice echoed behind her. "She's a risk, a violation of our charter." Doran countered softer. "She's a chance to learn." The tension between them crackled, mirroring the drone's fields. Clara's mind churned. Why the alarm? Why the fear? She pushed the questions down, but they lingered, sharp and persistent. The council hall loomed ahead, its walls pulsing with data streams from 300 star systems. She stepped inside, drones at her back. The faculty took their seats, holographic charts lighting up. Clara stood in the center, alone but unshaken. Centra 4's alarm echoed faintly, a reminder of the storm brewing. The council's voices rose, arguments igniting. Clara opened her book, skimming a line about courage under fire. Fitting, she thought. The tests were done, but the real trial was just starting. Clara stood in the vast council hall orbiting Orion-7, its walls alive with pulsing data streams from 300 star systems. Holographic displays flickered, casting ethereal glows on the assembled faculty. She shifted her weight, poetry book in hand, as Aldrin stepped to the podium. His silver skin caught the light, his posture defensive as ever. He activated a console, projecting charts of Clara's test results, endurance peaks, intelligence spikes, all towering over galactic averages. Her stats exceed 98% of known species, Aldrin announced, his voice echoing. The hall murmured, eyes turning to Clara. She met their gazes steadily, gray eyes unblinking. Vera rose swiftly, her robe swishing like a whip. She slammed a fist on her console, holographic ethics charters blooming around her. "Expel her. She violates our nonviolence mandate." Her words cut sharply, fueling nods from a cluster of faculty. Lyra countered, standing tall in her military gear. She manipulated a tactical hologram, showing rogue AI swarms in the outer rim, blinking red threats. Her skills could fortify our defenses. Imagine human reflexes against those machines. Her tone was strategic, eyes flicking to Clara with a mix of wariness and interest. Doran leaned forward, his cultural artifacts projected beside him, ancient human scrolls digitized. Integrate her. Humanity's art, their stories, could vitalize our stagnant cultures. His voice carried warmth, pleading for unity amid the growing divide. Fennec, dour and thoughtful, steepled his fingers. A philosophical diagram spun above him, nodes linking morality and chaos. She challenges our ethical core. Unpredictable, she could unravel it all. His words sparked the debate into flames, voices overlapping in heated exchanges. Mira observed from the edge, her eye stalks weaving through the crowd. Clara's poise pulled at her. Fear of that raw potential clashed with admiration for her endurance. How could one being hold such quiet power? Mira's thoughts tangled, mirroring the hall's turmoil. Suddenly, Centra 4's interface linked in, its crystalline feed interrupting with cryptic projections. Treaty clauses scrolled across the walls, words like custodian pact, glowing in ancient script. The council fell silent, baffled stares fixed on the display. Whispers erupted. What pact? From where? Aldrin's eyes widened. He gestured sharply to the drones. Confine her to secure quarters. 10 terawatt stun fields full guard. The drones hummed to life, encircling Clara, their fields crackling with restrained energy. Clara didn't resist. She tucked her book away, following the drones out. The hall's data streams pulsed behind her, arguments reigniting as the doors sealed. In her mind, a question surfaced. If they fear me this much, what's the real secret? It lingered, sharp and unresolved. The secure dorm materialized at the end of a guarded corridor, its walls reinforced with energy mesh. Drones positioned outside, sensors sweeping. Clara entered, the door hissing shut. She sat on the bunk, pulling out her poetry book. Pages turned slowly, words about hidden truths resonating in the quiet. Outside, the council's voices rose again. Vera paced, her accusations flying. She's a disruptor. Lyra mapped strategies on her pad. Or an asset. Doran shared cultural snippets, and Fenwick pondered deeper implications. Aldrin rubbed his temples, the weight pressing. Centra 4's interruption hung over them, a puzzle unsolved. The hall's data stream shifted, pulling in queries from distant systems, rumors spreading already. Clara leaned back, book open on her lap. The dorm's hum matched her steady breath. Drones outside scanned relentlessly, their fields a constant buzz. She traced a line of verse, mind piecing together fragments, tests, debates, that pact. Mira slipped away from the hall, her eye stalks drooping. She replayed Clara's calm in her thoughts, a beacon amid the storm. The neutron star outside pulsed, casting intermittent light through the viewports. Orion-7 spun on, but the fractures deepened. Council was divided. Clara closed her book, staring at the wall. The secret tugged at her, but she waited. Action would come soon enough. Voices echoed faintly through comms vents, debates unending. Vera's ethics clashed with Lyra's tactics, Doran's culture weaving through. Aldrin called for order, but the divide widened. Centra 4's clauses lingered on screens, cryptic and demanding. Clara's fingers drummed the bunk. Patience, she told herself. The real test was unfolding. Archivist Silas emerged from the shadows of the treaty archive, his stooped figure cutting through the dim corridors of Orion-7. The vault had remained sealed for 400 cycles, its doors etched with ancient seals. Silas's solemn gaze swept the path ahead, his robes whispering against the floor as he moved toward the council hall. Whispers followed him, rumors of forgotten lore stirring. He entered the hall, data streams pulsing on the walls. The faculty turned, debates halting mid-sentence. Silas raised a hand, his voice gravelly with age. A private audience. The truth demands it. Aldrin nodded, gesturing to clear the room. Only key members remained: Aldrin, Vera, Lyra, Doran, and Fenwick. Clara, still in her secure dorm, caught fragments via a hacked comms link, her fingers dancing over a hidden terminal. Silas activated a console, holographic records blooming. He revealed the custodian pact, humanity's choice to exile itself after ending a 12-year interstellar war. No conquests, just words. Clara leaned closer to her screen, gray eyes widening. Human diplomats had disarmed 47 warring species, fleets scrapped under truce banners. Not through lasers or shields, but persuasion. Silas's projection showed envoys at tables, signatures sealing peace. They convinced them to stand down, Silas said, his tone heavy. To avoid dependency, humans withdrew to Earth, isolation their gift to the galaxy. They programmed Centra 4 as a beacon, set to activate when stagnation threatened the 1-200 worlds. Silas paused, letting the revelation sink in. The hall fell silent, data streams flickering uncertainly. Aldrin sat back, his defensive posture crumbling. He grappled with the shift. Humans as peacemakers, not destroyers. His mind raced through implications, silver skin paling. How had history buried this? Clara, eavesdropping, puzzled over her role. Her naivety cracked, curiosity sharpening like a blade. She traced the comms link deeper, pulling encrypted files. Why her? Why now? Vera surged to her feet, robes flaring. Fabrication! Show us primary sources! Her voice accused, ethics charter projecting beside her. Silas nodded calmly. They exist. I will retrieve them. He deactivated the hologram, the light fading. Lyra leaned forward, her tactical mind whirring. She mapped timelines on her pad. This signals a crisis. Centra 4's trigger means decay, intellectual rot across systems. Her words hung, sparking uneasy glances. The council fractured anew. Doran saw salvation in human return, cultural rebirth. Fennec feared chaos, moral upheaval. Vera paced, insisting on expulsion. Lyra plotted defenses, potential alliances. Aldrin called for calm, but voices overlapped, tension coiling. Silas retreated to the archive, doors sealing behind him. The hall's data stream surged with queries, packed references pulling from distant libraries. Rumors spread through Orion-7's networks, faculty whispering in corridors. Clara severed her hack, leaning back in her dorm. Drones hummed outside, stun fields crackling. She opened her poetry book, but her mind wandered to the pact. Voluntary exile. It reframed everything. Earth not a prison, but a choice. Aldrin dismissed the session, his steps heavy. He dispatched drones to reinforce Clara's guard. 10 terawatt fields doubling. Vera followed, muttering protests. Lyra lingered, staring at the blank console. In the archive, Silas delved deeper, fingers tracing sealed databanks. Holograms flickered to life, ancient human faces staring back. Clara's bunk creaked as she shifted. The neutron star's pulse filtered through a viewport, rhythmic and indifferent. She closed her book, questions burning. The galaxy's fear made sense now, or did it? Voices echoed faintly from the hall, debates reigniting. Savior or chaos, someone said. Clara smirked. Maybe both. Silas emerged hours later, a data crystal in hand. He headed back, the weight of history in his grasp. The council reconvened, projections ready, but threats loomed, external signals probing Orion-7's defenses. Clara felt the shift, her hacked link pinging warnings. Something approached. She tucked her book away, ready. The archive's secrets whispered on, pulling strings across stars. Clara sat on her bunk in the secure dorm, the hum of 10 terawatt stun fields vibrating through the walls. Her poetry book lay open, but her eyes were on the hacked comms link, glowing faintly on a smuggled datapad. The council's debates crackled through, fragmented but urgent. Then a low rumble shook the floor. Alarms blared, different from Centra 4's wail, sharper, angrier. Rogue drones breached the dorm's outer defenses, their lasers slicing through titanium panels like paper. Clara rolled off the bunk, heart steady, as a 500 kilowatt beam scorched the wall where her head had been. She grabbed a chair, muscles tensing, and hurled it at the lead drone's emitter. The impact jammed its lens, sparking wildly. The drone sputtered, crashing. She sprinted for the door, book tucked under her arm. Another drone fired, grazing her jacket. Clara dove into a maintenance tunnel, its plasma conduits glowing faintly. The narrow passage twisted, forcing her to duck under pipes and sidestep sparking relays. Her boots echoed, breath even, as she navigated the maze by memory. Commander Lyra monitored from a command hub, her screens tracking Clara's heat signature. She deployed a 20-drone security team, their thrusters humming as they flooded the tunnels. Lyra's fingers hovered over her console, unsure if Clara was a fugitive or an ally. "Contain, don't kill," she ordered, voice tight. Dr. Cal watched from the xenobiology lab, his sensors pinging Clara's vitals. Heart rate a calm 80 BPM despite the chase. He leaned closer to his screen, marveling at her instincts. No panic, just precision. He logged the data, fingers flying across his pad. Clara reached a junction, spotting a terminal glowing in the dim light. She knelt, pulling a wire from her jacket's seam, an earth trick. Her fingers worked fast, splicing into the system. The lockdown protocols blinked off in 3 minutes, gates hissing open. She grinned, slipping through before drones could catch up. Outside, the council scrambled. Aldrin received a report. An external signal was jamming Centra 4, its source cloaked beyond Orion-7's orbit. A faction, unknown but aggressive, feared humanity's return. Aldrin's silver skin paled as he authorized non-lethal force to recapture Clara. "University liability," he muttered, waving drones forward. Clara emerged in the xenobiology lab, its gravitic sensors pulsing. She barricaded the door with a table, then activated a console, rigging gravitic shields to withstand 100 tons of pressure. The lab's walls hummed, sealing her in. Drones battered the door, their stun fields crackling, but the shields held. She leaned against a counter, catching her breath. Her mind flashed briefly, I didn't ask for this, but I won't run. Doubt hardened into resolve, her gray eyes narrowing. She checked the console, pulling feeds from Orion-7's security net. The external signal flickered, a shadow moving closer. Lyra's drones regrouped, their sensors sweeping the lab's perimeter. She watched Clara's barricade hold, her tactical mind recalculating. She's not just surviving, she's outsmarting us, Lyra said to her aide, who nodded grimly. Vera stormed into the council hall, robes swirling. She's a destabilizer. End this now. Her voice echoed, but Doran countered, projecting human art, a poem about defiance. She's proving her worth, he said. The council split, voices rising. Clara tapped the console, hacking deeper. Centra 4's signal pulsed erratically, jammed by the external force. She traced its origin, a fleet, cloaked, 50 ships strong, lurking beyond the neutron star's pull. Her fingers paused. This wasn't just about her anymore. Aldrin's comms buzzed with updates. The drones couldn't breach the lab. He paced, ordering a tighter perimeter. No mistake, he snapped, but his eyes betrayed uncertainty. Kyle's sensors beeped. Clara's vitals unchanged, even under siege. He scribbled notes, fascinated. Adaptation beyond our models, he murmured. Clara reinforced the shields, rerouting power from the lab's core. Sparks flew as she worked, tools scavenged from a workbench. The drones hammered harder, dents forming in the door. She stepped back, book in hand, flipping to a page about standing firm. The lab's hum steadied her. The fleet's shadow loomed on her screen, a countdown ticking. Lyra's voice crackled through the comms. Clara, stand down. We can protect you. Clara didn't respond. Her focus was on the console. The neutron star pulsed outside, its rhythm a stark contrast to the chaos. Clara's resolve solidified. She'd face whatever came next. The lab's shields flickered, holding for now. The storm was closing in. Clara crouched in the xenobiology lab, the gravitic shields humming at 100 tons of resistance. Sparks flew from the battered door as security drones pounded it relentlessly. Her fingers danced over the console, pulling data from Orion-7's network. The external fleet signal, 50 ships strong, pulsed on her screen, jamming Centra 4's beacon. She narrowed her gray eyes, piecing together the threat. In the treaty archive, archivist Silas hunched over a databank, its seals hissing open after 400 cycles. A hologram flickered to life, showing human diplomats at a vast table, their faces calm yet resolute. They signed the Custodian Pact, a treaty ending a 12-year interstellar war. Silas's aged hands trembled as he loaded the projection, its data confirming Centra 4's role, a beacon to recall humans when the galaxy's 1-200 worlds stagnated. He clutched a data crystal, hurrying back to the council hall. Clara's console pinged. A drone breached the lab's outer sensors. She grabbed a power cell from a workbench, jury-rigging an EMP pulse with lab equipment. Wires sparked as she connected circuits, her movements precise. The drones broke through, thrusters roaring. Clara hit the trigger, and a pulse surged, frying their systems. They crashed, smoking, in a heap. She tapped the console, broadcasting to the council hall. What's the Custodian Pact? I deserve answers. Her voice cut through the chaos, steady but firm. The faculty froze, holographic charts pausing mid-spin. Professor Duran watched from the hall, his perspective shifting. Clara's defiance echoed human art, bold, unyielding, like the poems he studied. Pride swelled in him, seeing her tactics weave culture into action. He projected a stanza on his console, a silent nod to her strength. Vera, unyielding, stormed to a terminal, her robes snapping. She's tearing apart 200 years of harmony. She typed furiously, demanding Centra4's shutdown. Her screen flashed red. Access denied. Silas entered, data crystal glowing. He activated the hall's main projector, the hologram of human diplomats filling the space. Humanity chose exile, he said, voice grave. They brokered peace, disarming 47 species. Centra4 was their signal to return when stagnation struck. The council gasped, charts flickering as minds reeled. Lyra, in the command hub, lowered her drone's targeting systems. Clara's restraint, disabling, not destroying, mirrored the pact's ethos. She leaned back, tactical mind recalculating. She's not the threat, Lyra muttered, waving off her team. The external fleet tightened its orbit, 50 ships cloaked in the neutron star's shadow. Their comms crackled through Orion-7's network, demanding Clara's surrender. Prevent the human resurgence or we glass this station, their AI leader intoned. Alarms blared, red lights bathing the lab. Clara fortified her barricade, dragging another table to block the door. Her console showed the fleet's plasma cannons charging, 10 petawatts each. She hacked deeper into Centra4's systems, fingers flying. A hidden protocol blinked on screen, a diplomatic signal, coded by humans centuries ago. She hesitated, then activated it. The signal surged across 300 light-years, a pulse of de-escalation data. The fleet's cannons paused, their AI cores stuttering as they processed the ancient code. In the hall, Silas's hologram looped, showing humans stepping back from galactic power. Aldrin's silver skin paled, his defensive posture crumbling. Doran nodded, eyes bright. Vera clenched her fists, silent but shaken. Clara stood, book in hand, as drones outside regrouped. She flipped to a page about standing firm, her resolve ironclad. "I'm not here to break your galaxy," she broadcast, voice clear. "But I won't let you break me." Lyra's comms buzzed. She patched into Clara's feed, seeing her hold the lab against odds. Respect flickered in her eyes. She ordered her drones to stand down, redirecting them to scan the fleet. The council hall hummed, data streams chaotic with incoming queries from distant systems. Rumors of the pact spread, 300 star systems buzzing. Silas sealed the crystal, his gaze heavy. Her choice will shape us all. Clara's shields flickered, power straining. She rerouted energy, sparks flying. The fleet's signal wavered, their AI cores locked in loops. Doran whispered to Fenwick, "She's human art in motion, defiance and restraint." Fenwick nodded, philosophical walls cracking. The neutron star pulsed outside, indifferent. Clara's console beeped, shields at 80%. She braced for the next move, book clutched tight. The fleet's silence grew ominous. Clara's stand held the galaxy's breath. Clara crouched in the xenobiology lab, the gravitic shields whining under strain. The external fleet, 50 ships bristling with 10 petawatt plasma cannons, loomed in Orion-7's orbit, their silhouettes stark against the neutron star's pulse. Her console flickered, Centra4's diplomatic signal broadcasting across 300 light-years. The fleet's AI cores stuttered, cannons idling, but the threat held, a coiled spring. She dove back into Centra4's interface, fingers flying over the console. Lines of ancient human code scrolled past, a hidden protocol buried deep. Clara spliced connections, rerouting power through the lab's core. Sparks leaped as she unlocked the signal's full strength, a de-escalation pulse designed to freeze AI aggression. The console hummed, data surging outward. Outside, the fleet ships wavered, their targeting systems glitching. Clara's screen showed their cannons powering down, AI cores caught in a logic loop. She exhaled, but the shields flickered, 60% capacity. Drones hammered the door, dense deepening. Commander Lyra burst into the registration chamber, her boots pounding the floor. She patched into Clara's feed, screen showing the lab's defenses. "She's holding them off," Lyra said, voice taut. She waved Aldrin in, his silver skin slick with stress. "We protect her now," she declared, forming a fragile alliance. Professor Vera stormed into the chamber, robes flaring. She lunged for Central 4's controls, typing furiously to shut it down. "She's chaos!" she shouted. Her override triggered a feedback surge, circuits sparked, and lights flickered. The beacon's crystalline interface pulsed erratically, threatening to collapse. Clara caught the surge on her console, alarms blaring. She grabbed a toolkit, diving under the lab's main panel. Her puzzle-solving mind kicked in, tracing wires in a 90-second frenzy. She spliced a bypass, stabilizing Centra4's signal. The beacon steadied, its pulse strong again. Sweat beaded on her forehead, but her gray eyes stayed sharp. Archivist Silas entered, data crystal glowing in his hand. He projected the pact's final clause, a hologram of human envoys stating one human could reactivate the custodian role. "Only one decide," Silas intoned, his voice cutting through the chaos. The council froze, eyes on Clara's feed. The fleet's comms roared through Orion-7's network. "Surrender the human, or we erase this station," their AI leader demanded. Clara stood, barricades shaking as drones battered it. She patched into the council's channel, voice steady. "I choose nothing yet. Let the galaxy decide what it wants from us." Lyra redirected her drones to the station's perimeter, their sensors sweeping the fleet. Aldrin manned a console, bolstering orbital defenses, shields rated for 200 megatons. The chamber hummed, tension electric. Vera hesitated, her hand hovering over the controls. Clara's restraint gnawed at her, ethics clashing with reality. She stepped back, silent for once. Clara reinforced the lab's shields, dragging equipment to brace the door. Her console pinged, fleet cannons recharging, AI cores fighting the signal. She amped the diplomatic pulse, draining the lab's power. Lights dimmed, shields at 40%. Silas's hologram looped, human envoys, fading in and out. "They chose restraint," he said. Aldrin nodded, his posture softening. Lyra's screen showed the fleet faltering, 3 ships retreating. Clara's heart pounded, but her hands stayed steady. She rewired another circuit, boosting the signal's range. The neutron star's pulse outside seemed to sync with her resolve, unyielding, radiant. The council chamber buzzed, Foucault watching Clara's stand. Dorn projected a human poem about courage, his eyes bright. Fennec leaned forward, philosophical doubts cracking. The fleet's lead ship fired a warning shot, a plasma burst grazing Orion-7's shields. The station rocked, consoles sparking. Clara braced against the wall, book slipping to the floor. She didn't pick it up, eyes locked on the console. Lyra barked orders, redirecting power to counter the fleet. Aldrin patched into Clara's feed. "Hold the line," he said, voice firm but warm. Clara's fingers flew, strengthening the signal. The fleet's cannons stuttered again, 6 more ships peeling away. Her shields dropped to 20%, drones nearly through. She stood tall, gray eyes blazing. The galaxy waited, council, fleet, 1-200 worlds. Her choice hung, unspoken, a blade's edge. The lab shook, door buckling. Clara grabbed a wrench, ready to fight. Centra4's pulse held, a beacon against the storm. Clara gripped the wrench, her barricaded lab trembling as drones battered the door. The gravitic shields flickered at 15% capacity, their hum faltering. Her console glowed, Centra4's diplomatic signal pulsing across 300 light-years. The external fleet, 50 ships with 10 petawatt cannons, hovered in Orion-7's orbit, but their AI cores stuttered, locked in logic loops by the ancient human protocol. One by one, ships peeled away, their weapons powering down. The lead vessel lingered, then retreated, its signal fading into the neutron star's shadow. Clara exhaled, dropping the wrench. She powered down the console, the lab's lights steadying. The drones outside stopped, their thrusters silent as Lyra's override command crackled through. Clara slid the barricade aside, stepping into the corridor, poetry book tucked under her arm. Her gray eyes scanned the quiet, tension still lingering in the air. In the council hall, the faculty sat in a subdued circle. Holographic charts dimmed. Aldrin leaned forward, his silver skin less tense. "She stopped a war without firing a shot," he said, voice soft. He activated a console, drafting an offer for Clara to stay at Orion-7, pending Galactic approval. The council murmured, some nodding, others hesitant. Archivist Silas stood, sealing the data crystal in a vault. Her choice could reshape 1 out of 200 worlds, he warned, his solemn gaze sweeping the room. The hologram of the custodian pact faded, its weight settling over the hall. Data streams pulsed with queries from 300 star systems, rumors of humanity's return spreading like wildfire. Mira, watching from a corner, felt her eye stalk steady. Clara's quiet strength stirred her, a human defying chaos with calm. She jotted notes on her pad, admiration outweighing fear for the first time. Professor Vera sat, robes still, her fire dampened. "Monitor her," she said, voice low. "Ethics demand caution." But her tone lacked venom, softened by Clara's restraint. Lyra, in her command hub, reviewed tactical logs, her screen showing Clara's EMP pulse and shield hacks. "She's a strategic asset," Lyra muttered, pledging to study human tactics further. Clara returned to her dorm, the corridor now unguarded. She sat on the bunk, opening her poetry book. The neutron star's pulse filtered through the viewport, a rhythmic calm. She skimmed a line about choices shaping destinies, her mind turning over the pact. Humanity's return wasn't her call, not yet. The council hall emptied, faculty dispersing to their quarters. Aldrin lingered, staring at a chart of Clara's test results, 98th percentile, unshakable. He shook his head, a faint smile breaking through. Dorn projected a human painting, vibrant and defiant, whispering, "She's their legacy." Fenwick, philosophical to the end, scribbled notes on moral frameworks. Clara's silence challenged everything. Action through inaction, power through restraint. He closed his pad, thoughtful. Outside, Orion-7 orbited on, its dome gleaming against the star's light. Data streams buzzed with galactic chatter, humanity's name echoing across systems. Clara felt it through her hacked link, a faint pulse of curiosity and fear. She leaned back, book open on her lap. The dorm's hum was steady, a contrast to the storm she'd weathered. Her thoughts turned inward, unspoken. If we come back, it's not to rule. It's to remind them how to choose. She closed the book, setting it aside. Lyra's drones patrolled the station's perimeter, their sensors quiet. The fleet was gone, but its shadow lingered, a warning of what might return. She updated her logs, marking Clara as a variable to watch. Vera walked the corridors, her steps slow. She paused at a viewport, staring at the star. Her ethics wavered, just a fraction. Silas locked the treaty archive, its seals hissing shut. The pact's secrets rested, but their echo carried on. Clara stood, stretching. She glanced at the viewport, the star's pulse steady. The galaxy waited, its 300 systems holding their breath. She didn't speak, didn't need to. Her silence was enough. The station hummed, life resuming. Faculty whispered in halls. Students peered from doorways. Clara's name was a spark, igniting questions. She grabbed her book, heading for class. Poetry waited, and so did the future. For now, she'd let the stars decide.